Hello, this is Charlene Riley. It is Friday, September 8th at 10:41 a.m. Eastern Time, and the purpose of this recording is to record my post-trading and trade review processes. So the first thing I want to do, I finished trading for the day and for the week. So the first thing I want to do is look at my account balance, which is 967.41, and I want to record that in my risk management spreadsheet. So I'm going to do that. And I said 967.41. So I see that from yesterday to today, I've had a bit of a gain. So that's a good thing. Now, what I also next I want to do is review my FX book statistics. My account, my portfolio for Girls Going Forex University has been updated for today with all my latest statistics. And so when I look at, the first thing I want to do is look at my history and make sure that all of my trades are closed, and they are. What I like to do is when I finish trading, I like to look at each trade to see whether, and I mark whether I followed my plan or not. And I see that for the most part, I have been following my plan, even though I've had losses. I've followed the plan, and we are going to have losses, but I've closed out the week with two very nice gains. This USD JPY trade was late last night, and I actually traded a fundamental report, and I followed my plan. I try to make comments either right after the trade or the next day when I go over my trades. And this one, on this particular trade, I traded a fundamental report, and I waited for the break below the support and resistance line, and I entered the sell, and I set the stop loss level before setting the take profit level to maximize the gain. And doing it this way also protects me if the market suddenly shifts. So I did that, and I was able to gain. I was able to gain 22 pips with that. So, and then I also see that on the trade this morning, I followed my plan, but I also listed it as partially followed because even though I followed my steps in terms of trading the fundamental report, and I waited for the break above the support and resistance line, and then I set my stop loss first, and then set the take profit level, and I also adjusted the stop loss level to protect pips, and then adjusted the take profit level to maximize the gain, take advantage of the market momentum, and take advantage of the gain to maximize my gain. The reason that it's listed as partially followed the plan is because USD CAD is not a pair that I normally trade. But I wanted to make sure that I had my procedures in place and that they were working effectively for trading fundamental reports. So in that respect, this worked well for me. So one of the things, so that's showing me that I am following my plan. It does get disheartening sometimes when I see small gains and bigger losses. But I see where even though this was a small gain, I moved my stop loss level to protect the pips gain. And here's another one where I moved my stop loss to protect the pips gained. And this is actually easy to see because where you see green, which indicates a gain, but you see the pink where the stop loss level is reached. That shows that I am actively trading, which is a part of my plan, and I am trying to protect pips. One of the things is that it's difficult, it's not as easy trading at night versus trading during the day. So it's even more important to actively trade and protect pips when they're gained, because I've had some where, like for instance, this trade where I lost 14.8 pips. The market initially went up, but then the bears suddenly took over, and I was trying to wait until the gain hit 10 pips before I adjusted the stop loss. But had I done it sooner, I could have gotten 6 or 7 pips out of the trade. So I'm making a note to myself to protect the pips when I get to like 5, 6, 7 pips, rather than taking a larger loss like that. I think it would be better for me to just go ahead and protect the pips because, the market can shift very quickly. And in this case, it did. So let me write that down to remember. I know in my PIP talk, we talked about not adjusting before 10 pips, but I think that trading at night when the market is not as active, I think that it will be better to move to protect your pips sooner, rather than, because it doesn't always get to 10. Like this one got to 7 pips before it reversed. And so you can actually see that at one point this was a buy, and at one point it has started. I'm not sure. there was a chance that I could have gotten 6 or 7 pips out of that, but I didn't move to protect the pips that I had gained. So that's one note that I want to make that I'm making to myself. To when you see an initial gain, when it gets to like 5 or 7 pips, which is actually the minimum that I would set my take profit for anyway. I prefer to get 10 pips per trade, but that's especially trading at night during when the markets are not as active. That's not always the best strategy. So I've written that down. Now I want to take a peek at my trading journal. Well, even before I go there, looking at my statistics, I'll start with my trades. And I've had, actually 63 trades now. Overall, I'm down 159 pips. But I do feel like I'm showing consistency. It's rare that I'm getting three or more consecutive losses, and except here, I see here. But when I was losing, I would take a break between losses. So you have, like, this is at from 8 to 9 in the morning, and then later on, I came back later on and did some trading, and after the 2 losses, after the 3 losses, I took a little break. Actually, I had some trades. I can see the overlap in the timing, in some of the timing, like from here to here. They were close. I know that I had some of these going on at the same time. So, but I was able to get a win out of that. And this one actually just dragged on. So this one actually was going on about the same time, or somewhat into the same time frame. So, but I know that I need to be careful with that because I don't want to have too many trades open at the same time so that I'm putting more than 2% of my account at risk. But the one thing, and that's where my risk management spreadsheet is helpful, because I know what my 2% threshold is, and I know how many pips per trade in order to make up the total of that 2%. So, for instance, on September 5th, 2% of my account would have been 99 pips, which is 25 pips about 25 pips per trade. So that meant that I could have as many as 4 open at one time. And so now going back to here, I see that I only had three, probably three going on at the same time, and each one was less than 25 pips. I'm conservative, so I don't typically go as high as 25 pips 25 pips per trade. Although I know that I can, and that's good to have that cushion in case I want to tweak my stop loss just a little bit. And here's an instance where I did went up a little higher for my stop loss, a little more than 20. But 20 is pretty much my comfort zone. 25, I would prefer not to go that high. I prefer not to risk that many pips. But I know as I get more comfortable with my plan and my process, then I wouldn't mind doing. I would feel more comfortable with risking 25 pips. So when I look at my summary, sometimes it gets. These are the pairs that I've traded while in university. I've adjusted my plan several times. I've done an analysis with these trades and the trades from my previous portfolio and selected the pairs that I was having the most success with. And I see that my success rate with the British pound USD is above 50%, and I'm not using the euro British pound anymore. Overall I see that I still need to work to get my processes down. The USD Swiss franc, I'm getting close to 50%. I seem to do a lot of trades with the Australian, New Zealand, and which is actually one of the times that I am able to trade. So that I see that I've been using that pair quite a bit, and I'm not far off from 50%. And I'm active with the British pound USD, and I'm also very active with the USD JPY, and that bears out because these are the primary times that I'm able to trade. I'm fairly active on the USD Swiss franc, and I'm approaching 50% success rate there. So these are areas that I want to focus on and study these pairs even more to improve my success rates with them. And I see that over the past week, I've 52% win in the win column. based at this point now, my plan is in place, and I just need to continue working to tweak it. Wednesday was a really active day, and yeah, Wednesday was a really active day. And I probably shouldn't be trading that much on any particular day. I was working to try, basically work on my plan and to getting my strategies, making sure I had them down pat. So I know that I do try to practice a lot, but I know that going forward, in order to build my trading business, I shouldn't be making 23 trades in a day. And the same here. I know that there is some overlap from day to day, because this is on that GMT time and I'm on Eastern. Their clock actually goes into the next day before Eastern Standard Time gets to the next day. So some of these trades actually belong on this day, and then some of these trades go to this day. Some of these trades go here, and then some of these trades go here. So, but that's something else that I need to keep in mind. I know that I do tend to spend more time in the evenings because the market is a lot slower and I don't have as many good trading opportunities. But I know I need to make a note to make the best of the trading, make the best of my trading opportunities and not force trades. So now another thing with trading at night, you find that the duration of trades can be a lot longer. So, like for instance, while it's good that a lot of them are clustered here in a short amount of time, but then I've got some that are going for 2 hours, almost 3 hours, to up to 5 hours. And so trading during more active hours, or when the market is more active, is better overall. So, and that goes hand in hand with my last point about making better trading decisions. So now when I go over to my actual trading journal, I keep as we're going through prep school and university, I actually found that I liked doing the screenshots and taking notes on my trades. And so what I started doing recently is taking the screenshot of the trade as I got into it, and then also taking a snippet of what happened afterwards. And so, like, for instance, this trade that I entered in a buy, and the market had started going up, and then I see where it ended, it shot back down and took me out, and I ended up getting a loss. What I should have done is moved to protect, because my stop loss, my take profit level was here, and had I moved to protect the pips that I gained, I could have gotten like 7 or 8 pips before it reversed and went back down. And I'm not actually sure I'm still working on getting my candlestick signals back together, because it seemed to me that, I just wasn't, I didn't anticipate the market reversing when I had this morning star here, and then which indicated the reversal to an uptrend, and so I had the stochastic moving upward, showing me continuation of the trend, and then just suddenly the market started swinging. It started moving upward, shot up, and then you see here that it went back down. So one of the notes that I've made for myself is to for my notes, I want to adjust my stop loss levels sooner to protect pips gained. And that's important, especially when I'm trading at night when the market is not as active. Make better because that's something, I could have gotten 6 or 7 pips out of that one. When I look at this one, where I lost the 22 pips here, I'm really not sure. I don't know, and I just have to study my candlesticks more. When I entered here, and then the market went up a little. Now maybe I could have moved to protect these pips here. It was a small gain, but it was a small gain, but I could have protected that. But I had no real indication at the time when I entered into the trade. The market was heading upward, and I had no real indication that it was going to reverse the way it did. And that's why this is helpful for me to go back and see here's where I entered the trade and where the market went. And then the next thing you know, you got this reversal. So this is definitely helpful in helping me to read the charts. And this goes back to my note to protect pips sooner, because you really don't know. There's really no way of predicting like when the market is going to reverse. Possibly, maybe I could have, upon seeing the stochastic starting to turn, that could use that as an indicator to go ahead and protect pips. And this is one of the good things about, that's why I really like keeping this journal, because it gives me a good visual representation. I know what and when, what made the reason I entered into the trade, what I where my buy, where I entered, what my take profit and stop loss levels were, and just keeping the notes like that. Here's another one that I did where I entered, and this was a good one, where I entered here, which is right about here, and then I got out on this candlestick, and I had a gain of 7 pips, where I adjusted the stop loss level to protect the pips gain. The market was already in oversold conditions, and it had been a pretty decent downtrend, and I see that I got in at pretty much at the bottom of the downtrend. And that's another thing that I need to work on, is not getting into trades too late. And now this tells me that this trade was I got in at the really tail end, and I probably should have just waited for the reversal, because you can see here's the morning star. So that probably would have been a good reversal to an uptrend. Oops. And that's a key right there. Some of it, especially where I see um, lots of trades. Where was that? Where I'm seeing lots of trades. One of the things that tells me is, well, in addition to practicing, that's telling me that I'm also being thirsty, being desperate for pips. Now I know that as time goes on, that will diminish. I know that right now I'm still trying to learn and perfect my process, and that leads me to want to stay in the markets a lot longer and do more trades. But sometimes less is more. Um, and it's unfortunate as I look at my account growth. Um, I see that it's been going down. I've had a few upticks. Here, unfortunately, is like where I went up for a minute and then went back down on the same day. Um, but I know that if I keep going and keep following my plan and trusting my plan, and not being desperate for pips and not making rash decisions, to just jump right in. And that's an area where I've definitely improved. Um, I can see this going up. So now, so these are my 4 takeaways for this week, so that as I enter into my trading for next week, um, I will be in a better position to be more successful. Thankfully, I'm finished trading for today because I've already gotten my 20 pips, which is my goal. So I'm not quite sure how to read this, because I've actually, for today, I've actually reached, okay, pips win at least 20, so 75%. It looks like 75% of the week, it looks like I've had 20 pip wins. I know, unfortunately, there's some where I've gained 20 pips but then lost more than 20. So, and that's actually another time that I was in the markets longer than I should have been, because I had my 20 or close to the 20, and then put it all back, it seemed like. So those are things that I need to keep in mind. keep my emotions in check. So overall, um, I am pleased with my progress. I know that I can do better, and I'm going to do better. And going over my history, going over my trades, and reviewing my journal daily and weekly definitely helps. And for purposes of this recording, I'm not going to review any of my videos right now, although I do have a number of recordings of trades that I've made, and I will probably go over those Sunday afternoon. So that is my trade review process. I've noted areas where I need improvement, and made some notes while I was recording. I actually wrote some sticky notes that I've got posted on my wall in front of my computer, so that I'll have the reminders like bam right in front of my face, so that when I go back into the market again, those will be the things that I keep in